Hello, everyone. I hope everybody can hear me well.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you all for coming. This is a great day here in America. It's a Thanksgiving. Probably Yetunde mentioned that earlier. It's a big celebration, one of the biggest celebrations in the country. And and Yetunde kept us busy during this time, mainly because we don't have school during these days, and it was the perfect timing to join this wonderful group with you guys. So thank you all for coming. My name is Leon Deligiannidis. You can call me Leon. I have a long last name, and I'm the interim dean of the School of Computing and Data Science here at Wentworth. I have a few things to tell you today. It's going to be more educational. You don't have to stress your mind as you did for the past 2+ hours with Dr. Othman's presentation. So I'm going to tell you a few things about what we do as a group. And one of the things that to let you know about our success is that we are, Yetunde, Salem, and myself, we are a very good close group of people. So I personally care more about friendship, and the rest of it falls into place. So I really value good-hearted people, and we are very good friends, and we're doing many interesting things together as a group. So a few things that we do. I have two things to show you, but I don't know how much time I have. So I'm going to allocate about 30 minutes. And if I have time, I can tell you a few more other things. So I wanted to tell you two things. One is our master's program, and the other was a few things about projects that we are working on. Some very interesting things using AI and where we are going with all of these things. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to share my display. And let's see how I can do this. Share this display. All right. And I'm going to maximize this here. And hopefully you can see my display. If not, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to keep talking. So one of the things that we did very recently is we worked on a project to use AI to create new designs for different things, from dresses to cars, buildings, shoes, and so on. And we wanted to also see how good our model was, the AI model. This project is in collaboration with two universities. One is Wentworth Institute of Technology, our school, and the other school is Babson College. Both of these colleges are in Boston, in the same area. They're not very far from each other. And we are the four people together. So you see here, the first is Salem, the guy that gave me the presentation. Second guy is Eric Noyes. This is the guy from Babson College, and Yetunde and myself. And let me show you a little bit of what the project is doing. So the first thing that we wanted to do was to be able to design different products. And for a specific reason, we chose women's shoes. Mainly because we found a nice big data set and we were able to train our model using our data set. It was a nice data set of women's shoes, all side view. And it was, I think we paid money to get it, but it was nice and clean. As you saw in the previous presentation, one of the biggest part for training models or dealing or making any informed decision is cleaning up the data. So the data was more or less cleaned. So it was all whitish background, and it was a nice shoe there. And what we wanted to do was wanted to get an idea of a shoe and then using AI to modify it a bit. This is called the latent space. So I think one of these shoes is the real shoe, and then we wanted to make it a little bit taller in the back and maybe lower in the front or more pointy. So how do you modify shoes like this using AI? Because you're using just pictures by hand, you can't do things like this. So we trained the model with about 5,000 shoes, and then we actually generated like this one here. So we did two things. One is we generate shoes like this one here, and then we took this and we modified it to create this shoe. And what we wanted to see is, after training the model, how did the AI create this shoe here? Somehow it got an idea of a shoe, that shoes look like this. But how did it figure out the color, the shape, the height, and all of these things? So we did a nice little visualization of this, as you see here in this picture, where you see the shoes, some of them, not all of them. Again, we had more than 5,000 shoes. So what we did is we created the concentric circles of shoes that they were more similar to our generated shoe. So you see the inner circle here, these shoes are 80 to 95% similar to our shoe. The next circle is 70 to 80%. The outer circle is 0 to 25%. Look at some of these shoes here. I don't know if you can see them. Maybe I can zoom in here. They nothing like the shoe that we designed. They are all shoes, but they are very different. So to do this visualization, we use the technique called cosine similarity. So it's a common technique used to figure out if two things are the same. So when we run this, we get these multidimensional vectors of the similarity, and then we compare the two cosines of two vectors in a multidimensional space. More of this is in a paper, but you can look it up. It's called cosine similarity. So using principal component analysis, you get these multi-dimensional vectors, but they are vectors. There are straight lines in this multi-dimensional vector space. And then you can take the cosine, and then you can compare the two cosines. And if they are very close to each other, then that is the value of 1. Otherwise, the value is between 0 and 1. So that's how we figured out these similarities. We wanted to see how the model is thinking, because we have no idea. We trained it and then it worked, but how? We wanted to see the internals. The next thing we did was we wanted to figure out to create an interactive tool that is going to modify the shoes. And what we did is something like this. So let's see here. Let me zoom out a little bit. All right, maybe like this. So what we did is we moved from GANs that are very slow and older to stable diffusion models. And what we did is we created right here a set of sliders of the attributes of shoes. So you say, how did you know about these things? We did not. We asked AI to tell us how we describe shoes. So we use AI to design our AI tool. So we use AI and we ask AI to tell us how we differentiate different shoes. For example, shoes have different height, the heel height, different color, different toe shape, the tip of the shoe, the sole type, material, style, size, pattern, and all of these things. So we created sliders here and we gave it a value. For example, for the heel side could be high, medium, and low, like for sandals. So we created this nice set of sliders, and then what we did is we gave input one of the shoes. So get any shoe, an image of a shoe. It needs to be nice and clean, no background information. And then this image here, it's fed into the model, and interactively, as we move the sliders, we get different visualization on the output. We wanted to make it real time, which means as you move the slider, you see the output, but this requires a lot of horsepower. So we use some very powerful machines, not too powerful, but they're pretty powerful. About each machine was about $6,000-7,000. Two GPUs, NVIDIA GTE 3080 or 3090, and we did it. It wasn't in real time. It took about a second, sometimes 2 seconds, as you move the slider to see the output. So it's not entirely as we learn how to do this using the regular sliders up and down and things happen. So this one is a little bit slower. Maybe bigger NVIDIA machines would do a better job. The other thing we did is we also included up here, Professor Othman talked about Spark AI. Well, we can use prompts also for this. If you want to do something very specific, I'm going to tell you what we did at the end. You can even type a prompt here and say, well, give me an 8K, very high resolution, photorealistic shoe. Otherwise, if you don't say the photorealistic, it gives you a shape, an outer shape of the shoe, and things like this. So we did all of these things, but and then I'm going to show you a few things about the result, because this thing didn't work very well. For example, some of the things, such as the hillside, we could never adjust the hillside. If you give it a shoe with this height, hillside, it always gives you pretty much the same hillside. I don't know why. Maybe we need to do some fine-tuning on the model. Excuse me. But that's the idea. So some of the shoes we generated, I'm going to go to the next slide here, are these shoes. So these shoes are just some of them that we generated dynamically. So the input was one of the high heel shoe, and we told it, don't put any pattern, and gave us this shoe. And then we said, put stripes, and gave us this shoe here. Give us the spots, give us flowers on the shoe, and we can access the material of the shoe. But the height always stay the same. We could never change the height. So we actually sent this paper out and it's accepted. And I mean, we said the truth. I mean, this is the height doesn't change. Even the color doesn't change. So if we say, take this shoe here and change its color, it wouldn't change. So we need to work on fine tuning this. But other things did work. So another image is here. So this is a set of multiple shoes just to show you. I think I remember this thing here. It's the first shoe is coming in, and we said don't put any pattern on the shoe, and the material is leather or I forget the other type of shoe material. This one has stripes, spots, and this one has flowers. And then in the next row here, we have different shoes with different heel type. So this one is too skinny, and it's leather. You see it is more shiny. So the material is different. And the bottom one here, these two at the bottom, it's with flowers, and it also added the buckle. So it can do that. But if you see here, the shape of the shoe stay the same. Well, that's what we got. So this is what we did. We can do interactively. And then the last thing we did, one of the other things that we did is we said, can this model, because this is the same, we didn't even train this model. You see, we did the training for GANs, but for diffusion models, we simply use the diffusion model. I think it's called Flax. And then we also did the same thing for dresses. And this thing works for anything pretty much. Of course, we changed the sliders here because dresses don't have heel height, but they can have different patterns and buttons like this one here. For the color, yeah, the only color we can change is right here. That's a green color. But otherwise, the color of the dress stay the same. But you see, it's the same model, and we can play with this dynamically, and we can alter the patterns, I guess, on the dress. And this is all done using the sliders for about 10 or so sliders. The other thing we did is we said, okay, what about if we want to do something really crazy? So that's the thing that I'm going to go up here. We have a prompt, so we can type anything crazy we want right up here at the prompt. And what we did is we said, one of the things that we said was, can you give me a shoe that is leather, that looks like avocado? You know the avocado, the fruit? So that's what it did. Without training, it's already a trained model. So this is a shoe that looks like the previous shoes that we used, but if you see the back here, it looks like half shell of a avocado. And we did many of these crazy things, make a strawberry, banana, and look all of these things. So this is one of the latest papers that we published, and hopefully we're going to see it out there next year, because it's in review at this stage. So that's what we did for this project, and we still need to work on this, and we're looking for collaborators to make actually the sliders work all the time, like change the hillside and things like this. So, and this project is done, and I'm exactly on time here, 15 minutes. So you think I'm going to take like 30 minutes, right? So I have another 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So the other thing we did is another project we are working on, and maybe we look collaborators for this. This project deals with, again, AI models training, but these models are already trained and we are using them. And what these models do is they can find the skeleton of the human, or the face, or even the hands. Remember the Kinect camera from Microsoft? I don't know if you remember this camera. I used to play with that camera a lot. The Kinect camera is a 3D, it's a depth camera pretty much, but it needs a lot of horsepower to work. This thing nowadays, they work even on a Raspberry Pi, on these little tiny computers. Okay, if you don't know what it is, your laptop can handle it very, very well. And we are using the tool that we are using for this is called MediaType. It's from Google. So MediaType from Google, MediaPipe. Okay, we created at least 3 versions of the program. So what we are trying to do is, if you see here the first picture here, since it gives me all the joints and up to the hand, it gives me only 3 or 4 points for the palm. This is what one model does. And we are trying to solve problems or help people with that they suffer from a stroke and they can't move their arms. And they go to the doctor and they think they move their arms, but actually they're not, because their brain thinks that they actually move their arms. But if they have a computer in front of them, and we can compute the actual angle right here in great precision. So we can tell them, if you move your arm, I don't know if you see my arm here, that up to here, so it's 90%, 90 degrees here, or if it's something like this, move it higher and higher, so people can actually see and tell why they are not moving their arms properly. Another model, it's still all of these come for free within MediaPipe, is this one here. This one has 3 different models. One is the skeleton. You don't see the rest of the body here because I'm sitting, but it also shows here the face. So if you are, you can replace your face with somebody else's face, or you can replace your face with a cartoon. And as you make different, movements, it also does it. It's pretty interesting the way it works. I wish I could show you, but I can't use the camera while being on Zoom. And again, it does this automatically, the face here. I don't know where to use the face though, but there are many other applications for emoji or for emotions while watching a movie, for example, if you're scared, if you're smiling and things like this. And the third model it uses is the hand, now the entire hand. So you're getting every single joint of the finger. You see here, this is more detailed. So one model gives you only 4 points here. You see the 4 points, but the other gives you all the finger joint. And with this information, you can have actually different gestures. The model itself recognizes 7 gestures. So you can actually do tongue like this, that means something, up, victory, love, forget, or closed and open fist. So it can recognize 7 different gestures, and it's possible to train it for more gestures, like counting 2, 3. It doesn't do that automatically, but you can do that. Can imagine you can do many things. You can use this for applications to draw things, right? In real life. I don't know if you're familiar with the headset that Apple made, where you don't use any controllers. You wear the head-mounted display in virtual reality, and you simply do that to indicate mouse clicks. And it uses eye tracking technology. But how does it recognize this? It's something like this here. So if you don't require way too many gestures, because humans are difficult to remember many gestures, but if your application requires only like 3, 4, maybe 5 gestures, this application, you can use this out of the box to do something. So this is another one here that we use also. But we do many of these things here. But this one looks at you from the side. So it's a little bit trickier to do that on the side because the machine learning, the model is trained on your face. So based on your face, it can figure out the rest of it. And humans are easy to be recognized because humans have a head. And if you have a head, you have 2 arms and 2 legs and a body. So you're not going to see your arm someplace else and you're being on the other side of the room. You're around this area. So, but the problem is if you try to do things on the side like this and you occlude your face, then the machine learning, it flickers a little bit and it's a little bit annoying. So we're going to see how we can solve problems like this. So if you're interested in this, we're looking for collaborators. Again, it's in the heart of this is, again, AI. Everybody's AI. And another thing I want to tell you about what's coming up, I think, in my view, what's coming up next after the AI explosion of things. I think AI is going to be, and it's going to stay around for years. You see AI pretty much in every single tool nowadays. You use Word with AI, Python with AI there. So AI is always there to help humans. And one of the things, one of the areas that I think AI can help is, that AI could be helped. In this case, we can help AI is in quantum computing. This is one of the latest things that I'm involved, and I've been doing this for the past 6, 7 years. So quantum computing is one of these fields that is very difficult to understand. It's pretty much you need to forget everything you know about programming, and you need to relearn how to program quantum computers. It's using Python. So, I mean, the programming language is not difficult. It's just the way of thinking. It's very difficult. And I've been teaching a course for the past 7 years in quantum computing called Quantum Computing for Security. So my primary focus in quantum computing is security, computer security or network security, how to enhance security and how to break security. So it's fun from both sides. So one side destroys the current security, but then on the other side, we enhance security and make it unbreakable. So I wanted to show you just one slide for educational purposes, again, how these programs look like. So this is a tutorial that I normally give and takes about an hour and a half, and it's difficult for people to follow because the techniques used in quantum computing deal heavily in quantum mechanic effects, like superposition. So we're all familiar with zeros and ones. Well, writing a program in a quantum computer means that the bits are not 0 and 1. They're 0 and 1 at the same time. Forget it. Or they are 30% 0, 70% 1. So you have cases like this. And that's a primary thing. That's where you get all this power of the quantum computer. So a quantum computer is like has nothing to do with parallel processing using supercomputers. It's its own, the supermassive parallel processing unit. It's extremely powerful. It will never replace classical computers. It can only solve some of the problems. But these problems, normally with classical computing, some of these problems that I know, they take 100,000 years to solve. With a quantum computer, we can solve it in a day. That's how super fast are. So just as an example here, because I wanted to show you just one example of how these programs look like. So maybe you're familiar with this thing here. If not, that's fine. But if you're an engineer or physicist, probably have seen this. This is the Fourier transform, right? So if you see something like this, you see the sigma here. This is a sum of things, e to that weird power here with the I pi up here. Okay, this is Euler's function that can be converted to sines and cosines. So pretty much the Fourier transform is a wonderful tool that people develop that can transform signals from the spatial domain into the frequency domain for analysis. So if you do any signal analysis, image processing, you're using this all the time. And then after you do the analysis in the frequency domain, there is a transformation similar to this, as the sign is different, to move back to the spatial domain. And this is a wonderful tool. It's one of the greatest tools that we have for signal processing. And guess what? We do the same thing also in quantum. So in quantum, we use, the terminology is slightly different, but we have something like this. So most people in this session, if I give you something like this, and maybe I explain this a little bit here, that you can convert this into sines and cosines, you can actually write a program and solve this problem. But how do you convert this thing here that uses quantum states into a quantum circuit and do it super fast? And remember, the bits are not zeros and ones. So there are different languages we use, but most people use Python for this. And you run the Python program to create a circuit. That's what we call them. So we write a Python program to create something that looks like this down here. So this picture here is a quantum program. So the Python is an intermediary to create the circuit, and then we run the circuit. So when we write the Python programs, we always think about how to connect this. Well, let's call them bits for now. And these bits, they do a few things. So maybe I'm going to tell you, since I have another 2 minutes here, this gate here, so it's like an AND gate, an OR gate. Well, this is a quantum gate. This gate converts a 0 into a 50% 0, 50% 1. Okay, so any H here converts bits into 50% 0, 50% 1. These lines here, how do I explain this? But let's say they give a rotation to the bit. So bits are kind of 0 or 1, but then you can turn it. There is this idea of giving it a spin. And here is the angle of the spin. And this is swap gate. So you swap the two qubits. And this is the quantum Fourier transform. It's the Fourier transform, but in the quantum space. Now, to explain why this thing here is equal to this, it's going to take me an hour and a half, and probably none of you will understand it. That's how difficult it is. But again, quantum computing is a wonderful new emerging technology. And why did I mention that? Because there is a field in there in machine learning called quantum machine learning, where quantum computing can actually help train systems super fast. So there is a big idea in the future. So after we actually build a big quantum computer, maybe we can use this to train humongous systems for AI. And then I don't know where we're going to go from there. Maybe you can imagine something like this. If maybe we can train ChatGPT 4.0 within a day. And then tomorrow we have ChatGPT 5.0. I don't know where this thing is going to go. So I like to get my hands into quantum machine learning. And it's exactly 11 o'clock here, my time. So it took exactly 30 minutes. I'm going to stop right here. If you have any questions, let me know.
Any question? Thank you very much. Okay. Yes, sir. Yeah, I believe so, sir. You can come nearer. Okay.
Just speak.
Okay, thank you very much for your very interesting lecture.
I think you shouldn't use the mic. You should come nearer.
Okay, thank you very much for this wonderful lecture. Yes,
Thank
so
you.
I'm
It was
just
my
interested
pleasure.
in this because of the equations I'm seeing on the board. So how does these lines and these red patches I see on the screen, how does it relate to the Fourier transform and I think one is the inverse or the other one is like the function?
No. This one is the classical version that we are familiar with. On the classical computer, that's the Fourier transform. And then this, that looks very similar, is the quantum Fourier transform. The inverses are similar to this, but this is the quantum. This thing here is the same for this circuit, but you are all familiar with this thing, the classical version of Fourier transform.
Okay. It the session is being recorded.
Can you please repeat?
Eh? Yes, please. Can you just complete that? Let's use that. Yes. And the feedback, I mean, there's a feedback. So, maybe let me ask first, and then after asking. So, come and ask your question. Just silence that one, because that will be sending back to the microphone again. Okay, yes. You can ask your question now.
Oh, sorry again. So I'm trying to ask the question again. So I'm trying to understand, the workflow between, the lines you have with red patches down there and the equations there, the equations like Fourier transform you're talking about. So I'd like to know the workings. Maybe if you can try to explain how mathematics plays a role.
Yeah.
In this.
I can't. I can't. No, I seriously, I can't. It takes me, I have a tutorial that I go through this to explain how to convert this into this, and it takes me about more than an hour, and still people don't understand it. It's very difficult. I didn't put it up here to explain this. It's just to give you an idea how quantum programs look like. But I don't think I have the time to explain this here in like 5 minutes. It's impossible. It's a very hard topic. Not only this, but even to explain how to write quantum programs. But this is just one example that uses only 4 qubits. But if you see, I wanted you maybe to see the pattern, that there is an H, and then the 3 lines, and then there is another H with 2 lines, an H with 1 line, an H with 0 lines. So if you extrapolate from this, even if you have something with 1,000 qubits, you can follow the same pattern to design the QFT. Now the question is why? Why does this thing actually work like this? Yeah, I can't do it now. It's too complex.
Thank you very much. We all silence that one. So thank you very much. We hope that one day we will also have like a quantum computing workshop like this. Maybe 3 months dedicated to quantum computing, right? It's not what we can do in the next few minutes that we have, unfortunately. Yes, even the professors see it as homework. So, I want to say thank you very much, Professor Deligiannidis. It took me like 7 years, right, of working in Wentworth before I could pronounce his name. So it's not something as easy as it sounds for me. It was a serious business. So anyway, I want to say thank you for this opportunity and for dedicating your Thanksgiving time to be of value to humanity. There is no better way to celebrate Thanksgiving than being known for contributing to your quota to those of us in the developing region that are thirsty and passionate for knowledge. Then there is a question here about how can an interested participant join your team? How can an interested participant join your team? And I think in the interest of time, since we both belong to the same team, if you permit me to answer that question, if you are still also going into the next panel, or if you have something to say about that. The question is on chat. It says, how can an interested participant join your team? If you want to be part of your team, which I will actually call our team.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yetunde, I don't hear you very well. So if I don't respond, please talk to me again. Yeah. It's. I was able to hear Salem very well.
So the question is.
Yeah. I see it. I see it now in the chat. Yeah. So if people are interested, we have a representative with you. Professor Yetunde. Talk to her, and we would love to work with you. Yetunde, you gotta understand a few things about us here. We are not just 3 faculty members working together. We're like brothers and sisters. So Yetunde is my sister. That's how I see her. So please, anything you want to do, you want to be part of these projects, you want to work together on any research, you can talk to Yetunde. You can send me an email if you want to. But I think it's more convenient for you to talk to Professor Yetunde because she's already there. And we would love to meet you. And to tell you the truth, I can't wait until next year we organize this, because next year I'm going to come to Nigeria and meet you in person. This time things happened too quickly and I didn't have time to come. But next year I would love to join the team in person.
So thank you very much for that. And no, I don't need a mic. So thank you very much for that. And I'm the representative here. And like I said, if there's anything you want to ask, feel free to ask me by email. We already have. Oh, I shouldn't be the one to mute. I'm talking. They should remove. So we already have a WhatsApp group of people that are attending this workshop. And I believe that is the starting point. Our group, the Artificial Intelligence and Multimedia Systems. We have a lot. We don't need. You are not hearing from that. So, yeah, because this is. So we have a lot of activities. We are young, but we are strong. So we have a lot of activities that we do, mostly AI, machine learning, big data, quantum computing, as you already see, virtual reality, because we also do multimedia application. So if you want to partner, to collaborate in any way with on any of our projects, our profiles are public, LinkedIn, Wentworth website, And if Google Scholar, you can see some of our past publications. And as you already see, we have a conference that is in the pipeline. Someone already contacted me and was asking if we can extend the deadline. And I would think I will discuss with my colleagues with the potential of extending the deadline for this group. Since you are not aware of it before, the deadline is December 6th for the paper submission. So, but anyway, that's one of the things that we do, and we are really happy to connect. One of our passion is diversity, to have diversity in our team, to have people from different background, both in terms of demography and also in terms of profession, in terms of career and everything. We want to have diverse team because together we are going to expand more, because we can always lean on each other's strengths, leverage on that to be more productive. So definitely we want, right now we are hosting a Fulbright scholar that is going to be part of the next panel that we're going to be doing. It's a scholar from University of South Africa. So we are happy to do this kind of thing, and hopefully our next Fulbright scholar will be from Nigeria. So that's the plan, to collaborate, to have this opportunity to work with you on projects, on conferences, and also the Director General for the NACETEM is here. That is the collaboration. Now we have started this collaboration, and we are hoping to plan also a conference jointly with NACETEM. And so whether we are hosting it in Nigeria or we are hosting it in the United States, I know that NACETEM will make it happen, because this is our first attempt, and I would say without any doubt that this has been successful, because I've had many first-time events before, so I know what I'm saying. So this is really an achievement. So, having said that, I will hand over to the LOC to talk about the next thing.
Thank you very much, everyone. Let's give our hands, ourselves a round of applause. Well, now we are going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the panel session. So, with that, I will invite the DG CEO, NACETEM, Dr. Olushola Odusanya, to the I table. Let's jam our hands together for our DG. Thank you. Also, to the head in our presence here today is the head of the Department of Computer Science, Faculty of Science, University of Lagos, Dr. Yinka. Also on the panel is our own Professor Folajimi Yetunde that you have been listening to since morning. So, and we have Professor Leon online.
Shawren.
Let's figure it out to him. And Professor
Shawren.
Shawren, I guess, is also online with us.
Yes.
Professor Shawren, you are there, please set us see.
I'm trying to find them.
Okay, Professor Shawren is one of resource persons from Wentworth Institute of Technology. Okay, that's Professor Shawren. Thank you. So I'll hand over the microphone to Professor Yetunde to continue with the panel. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to appreciate you again, the panelists, for being here. I think this is a good mathematics. This is a good maths, right? Even number. 2 people remote, 2 people in person for the panel. So I want to thank you again for joining us. So to get started, I would want each one of you to please give a brief introduction, maybe in 1 minute, because I know you still have things to say. your name, your role, and a sentence about, one sentence or two about your work in AI, because that's why we are here. And this panel.
No, they want to help us. They want to help us pass the mark.
Oh, I'm still talking.
You're still talking, just came closer.
So, I want to say particularly related to AI policy and regulations. We want to see, this is an opportunity to connect with the developed community and learn what is going on there so that we can see what we can bring back home in Nigeria. So see what we can also use to help our nation. So we want to play our role as in the global scale. So please introduce yourself briefly. Tell us about your work in AI and what you do, your position.
Okay, my name is Chika Banjo, and I always tell myself that I'm in Nigeria. I'm a little woman married to a Yoruba man, so that's why I said to Nigeria. And the accident of department acting because you're not yet a professor, then acting. If you're a professor, you can be HOD. So I'm the accident of department of computer science, and I coordinate this lab, artificial intelligence and robotic lab. I use my AI research across different fields. We build machine learning techniques to solve problems in environment, also to solve problems in the mining sector, also to solve problems in medicine, etc. Thank you very much.
I've introduced myself for the purpose of this. My name is Odusanya. I graduated from this university in 1987. And from that time up to now, I've been in biological sciences until a few years back when I started talking about material science and engineering. And I'm an associate professor of material science and engineering at the African University of Science and Technology, Abuja. Director General for about a year and a half. And one of the first introductions to AI for me was when I received the nominal role of my agents. I did not know who the staff was, what their skills were, and what sets of competence they brought to the agents. So the first thing I did was to call on someone who was vast in AI to help me get data out, data points, and through that I was able to understand my staff better. This led us to take this same up to the Federal Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology, and the permanent secretary decided to deploy it to the entire ministry so they can know who the staff were, what their texts were. And shortly after that, the head of service of the Federation decided to use the app, and we are currently developing for that. So this app will help us understand a lot of databases. For example, the Road Transport Workers Association of Nigeria is the biggest collection of people. They have the biggest database. The number of there is about 30 million. And the typology of the different skills that they can bring on top is very important. And that's the value of AI. So in essence, I'm just telling you that the reason why the kind of work I'm doing in AI to apply it and not so much to build it, rather to apply it. That's why thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So, yes, over to the internet. Over to
Shawren. Please unmute yourself.
Okay, I've unmuted. Greetings to everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a rather rainy day here in Boston. It is cold and gloomy. And, I really would have preferred being there with you all in Nigeria, to sit and talk about this. But unfortunately, things beyond our circumstances happened. So I'm Shawren Singh. I'm a Fulbright scholar being hosted at Wentworth Institute of Technology by Yetunde. My other job is that I'm the chair of Department for Information Systems in the School of Computing at the University of South Africa. And most of you all may know that University of South Africa is the largest distance education university, or one of the largest distance education universities, in the Southern Hemisphere. My research interest largely revolves around technology, and I have a deep interest on how technology such as artificial intelligence is fundamentally changing our lives, and how governments are using this technology to improve their lives and the efficiency of government systems and the effectiveness of the way and the manner in which they deal with their citizens. So that's the space I'm coming from. Thank you.
Collaborating, still getting things done. It's fantastic. Those thanks very much.
Together we are to listen to Professor Leon. Leon, please, can you introduce yourself to this panel? Thank you. As a member of this panel. Thank you. Again.
I maybe I didn't introduce myself properly before, just for the timing constraints. Again, my name is Leon Deligiannidis. I'm the interim dean of the School of Computing and Data Science. I'm also a full professor, and I've been working at Wentworth for 18 years. Before that, I was at the University of Georgia for about 4 or 5 years in Georgia, in the US. So I've been in the US for the past 36 years. I did my undergraduate and graduate degrees here in Boston. So Boston is my new home. Originally, I'm from Greece, but I was born and raised in Sweden. I think next year I'm going to Sweden because I missed my hometown in Sweden. So I'm really interested in AI because it's fun. It's something new, very challenging, and I like the speed that it gets. And it looks like everything we do nowadays, AI is behind it. So it's the best thing that we need to do. And maybe one of the things that I have in my heart all the time is how to help humanity using AI. I'm not a medical doctor, so I can't really help them that way, but I think we can design tools that can help and improve the life of other humans. And I'm glad that Shawren also shares the same passion for this. So we're a nice group of people, and we would like to expand this with more people from Nigeria and create a nice, collaborative environment that we can all work towards a common goal. I'm waiting, and I'm expecting to return back to faculty so I can spend more time in my research.
Thank you very much, Prof. All right, thank you very much. So since you still have the mic, don't mute yourself yet.
Okay.
Professor Leon, so in your role as a dean, how do you see universities contributing to the landscape of AI? For example, give examples and maybe experiences. We also want to find out what responsibilities you feel academic institutions have in preparing students for a future where AI is highly regulated.
Great. Thank you, Yetunde. That's a very good question. We don't have all the answers, but we know a few things. AI is a great tool. The same thing would apply to a sharp knife. A sharp knife is a nice tool because you can debone the steak. We can use it also to do other things. The same thing applies to AI. AI is a wonderful tool, but you can use it the wrong way. And we need to have some policies there. We don't know exactly how to regulate it properly. For example, one of the problems that we have, it's not really a problem. Everybody does it. I improve the paragraphs that I write using ChatGPT because I can throw in the idea and can give me a nice solid paragraph, so it sounds like it's still my idea, it's just rewritten. And to actually use these tools, to use it in a more, I would say, responsible way, or to use it more efficiently, you have to actually pay a little bit, like $20. That's how much it is in the US. You pay $20 to get the better version of ChatGPT. The problem we have in schools is that we have many people who don't have the money. So how do we help students that don't have money to use the better version of ChatGPT? So one of the things that we're looking at here at Wentworth is to actually pay for the students. Every student should have access to this. It's a nice tool. It's like having a very nice fancy pen that can write very fast, or have access to books. So it's the same idea applies to AI at this stage. We don't want to have students that don't have money stay away from ChatGPT, for example, to write their tools. Now, it's possible that, and I get this from pretty much every professor, that students are very smart, and the smart students can use AI in a very smart way. For example, they can actually have AI do their homework. Because nowadays you can go and say to AI, can you write a code for me that does this? And do it in Python. Or do it in a better way, do it more efficiently. And it does it. It gives you the code. You can even tell it, format the code for me so you can copy and paste it someplace. Now, this doesn't mean that AI is bad or evil and should be abandoned. AI is a tool that we should use responsibly. I don't have all the answers on how to convince people to do this, because I mean, we before AI, we used to have some other tools, some websites that students used to go and pay. For example, one of them that I know, and we had an account and we used to check the students, is called Checked. Checked is a website that you pay somebody to do the homework for you. And the professor has no idea what happened. The only thing that we see is that students do all their programming assignments and then they fail the exams. So that's an indicator. Some people can claim this, they can claim the other thing, but this is a very strong indicator for me. So if you can get a straight, perfect scores in assignments, especially in programming classes, and then you cannot answer any question in an exam, that's an indicator. But the responsibility is for the students. And maybe we need to have maybe a course, maybe part of a course to educate students and tell them that if you keep using AI, you can come to college, pay all the money of the world, and learn nothing. You say, well, I have AI. Then why did you come to college? Stay out of the college and save your money. So, yeah. We do have a problem. We don't have all the answers, but yeah, we should train our people to be more responsible.
Thank you very much. I think you already answered what will have been my follow-up question. No, don't worry. So I believe you can hear me from the back. Okay, so I don't need a mic. Yes. In America, we call it yelling. I can yell. So anyway, you were faster. What would have been my next questions? I mean, somehow. So ways by which we can foster responsible AI deployment, because you mentioned something about getting ChatGPT free of charge and placing it in the hands of every student so that everybody have equal access. But again, how do we ensure that they use it responsibly? A future where that it can be deployed without stifling creativity and
yes.
exploration. So
yes.
maybe as we go on,
this is a very good question. Yes.
Say about that. So talking of that now, I will want to direct the next question to Dr. Shawren. So as a faculty currently, As a faculty currently teaching and researching on AI policy and IT governance, and also with your experience as a Fulbright scholar, currently working at Wentworth Institute of Technology, working on our team, with our team, and looking for collaboration, networking across other schools, both in our university and outside our university, across South Africa and globally. So what specific AI regulatory challenges do you find most relevant for students and researchers, especially in both countries where you have link, like in the United States and South Africa?
Yetunde, thank you for the question. So I'm going to answer this question in an unusual manner. And the reason for that is for us to sit and critically think, how we should approach this issue. So in the 1968, the 2001 Space Odyssey, by Stanley Kubrick and Arthur C. Clarke, the sentient computer HAL makes a really important decision that is going to cut out the human from that particular expedition, right? And we go on to 1984. Now, I'm giving away my age here, right? For those of us who know about Skynet, right? The artificial intelligence defense system, right, decides to start a nuclear war amongst the humans and get rid of the humans, right? And we get the Terminator from that, and where Arnold Schwarzenegger says, "I will be back," right? And then we move on to later on, and that's probably also giving my age away, is the 1997 computer game Resident Evil, right? Where the Umbrella Corporation creates a particular type of virus, and the Red Queen, which is an artificial intelligence computer, keeps the underground laboratory secure so nobody can get in and get infected. All of this Hollywood movies have created one thing, and that is fear. Fear of the technology. Artificial intelligence should be something that we should fear. I argue otherwise, right? This is a tool, as Leonardus has pointed out, that we should be using in our approach, right? So a poor understanding of this technology causes policymakers, out of fear, to push forward legislation which is detrimental to innovation. Now we sit with a problem. How should we deal with this? It is incumbent on us as the people who are using, developing, maintaining this technology to educate policymakers in this space, right? So gone are the days of us relying on Hollywood, and that's largely what happens here, to push forward this narrative that this technology is going to damage us in a particular way. No, it isn't. As pointed out to us, a knife is a very important tool. In the hands of a surgeon, it is a lifesaver. In the hands of a thug, well, you've got problems, right? We cannot legislate all of these issues away, right? What we do need is creative ways of dealing with it. Now, the issue of cross-border legislation and cross-border issues, right? Whereas in the developing world, we've got a particular set of issues that we need to worry about. And the developed world has a particular set of issues they need to worry about. If we overly regulate this technology, we will be pushing an AI arms race where the developed countries largely will become more proficient at this technology at the expense of the developing countries. Right? What we need are strong interactions between universities in this space. Now, with that being said, all of the movies I spoke about, all of these technologies were run by large corporations, right? With some government affiliation in there. Mind you, that's exactly what's happening now. No university in the Southern Hemisphere or in Asia, and I believe there's only one university in the US, right, that is now getting the infrastructure to set up a artificial intelligence space, right? Other than that, it is in the hands of big corporations. So the question is, how do we leverage this technology to improve our understandings in our space? And that is the opportunity we have. Now, the developing world has an advantage. We are not constrained by all of the legal issues that the first world countries have. And we see that with our cell phone technology. We have pushed forward our cell phone technology at an incredible rate, whereas the developed countries are really afraid of things like 5G. So there is an opportunity for us in here, but we have to cooperate, understand each other, speak the same language, and move this technology forward. Thank you, Yetunde.
Thank you very much. So my next question, yes, so because we don't really have, anyway, I would just quickly want to know do you see AI regulatory needs and goals in the university system aligning or diverging from international standards?
I think from an international standard, universities will all try to band together and have a similar strategy. So the universities are struggling to understand how to deal with this. And the example that I can give you, all of the large journals now are having policies on the use of artificial intelligence. So they would tell you, if you used ChatGPT, this is how you would declare that. Right? But each university, as we know, would have its own internal policies and internal ideas on how they want to embrace this technology or not use the technology at all. But largely, we would, through our academic associations, conferences, find some type of smart way of integrating this technology in our teaching and learning. The genie is out of the box. It is foolish for us to put our heads in the sand and think nothing is going to happen. This has been going on for a really long time. If we look at the first incarnation of Word, it came with Clip It, right? Clip It was this little device that gave you some advice, right? And we accepted that. That technology now, over years and years of collecting data, has now improved to such an extent that it now points us in the right direction, looking at some of the issues that we would be worried about, and then tell us, here is the suggestion. What is important for us to understand is that we need to be teaching critical thinking skills to our students. That is important. They should use all of the tools at their availability to solve a problem as quickly and efficiently as possible. Right? But they must declare this is how they've done it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So from what I see, if we're able to do that, from what I've learned now from you, it's a smart way of putting it in. And so that would be like that smart way of making sure that the policy normally enters the system will eventually become a global thing, which naturally people will comply to certain agreements, which as you mentioned in conferences and so on, is already happening now. It's not as if there is a coordinated effort, but it's just naturally peeping into the system. So thank you very much for that contribution. My next question will go to the head of department, university. I don't see anyone as acting. Once you are the head, you are the head. Right? You are responsible for what is going on up there. Yeah. So I want to say that the HOD University of Lagos Computer Science, AGHOD University of Computer Science University of Lagos, Dr. Chika Yinka Banjo, my next question goes to you. From your perspective, right now at the University of Lagos, what are the primary AI regulatory policies or concerns that you have in your institution? Especially being on, I believe, as a chair, you are in charge, on the board of so many things, attend so many meetings and so on. So what do you think are the policies, concerns in your universities, and how do they differ from those in more developed countries? Because I know you also have ties with developed countries, for example, like MIT. You have ties with MIT as a fellow from there. So what are your concerns? I mean, what are the concerns that are being discussed in your university, and how does it differ from maybe some things you know about other developed countries?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, we find out we have a policy in Nigeria concerning AI. Yeah, because we have policy in some things, but I know recently the governor of, I see Nigeria, the minister, right? They launched a policy for data. There was this data protection policy that was launched, but it's also different from how we use AI. So I'll give you a scenario of what we do in the department. So when students are finishing and writing their thesis, we actually try to check to know the level of similarity index of other people's work that you have used. Because in academia, you know that you're supposed to put reference. You don't just copy someone's work without referencing or citing it. So after that's different from even using ChatGPT or different AI platforms that give you information. So that particular software that we use has put in something in it called AI percentage. And students do not know because they still believe that we're using it to check similarity index. And they have a way of beating similarity index. They will first of all try it online. Online will give them the rough estimates, which they will not start changing on time. But they don't know that there's AI percentage that has come in. So this time, I have students that their similarity index, that's the journalism, copying someone's work, was very low. They will not check 65% AI content. 85% is a very smart student. But the issue is that their AI wasn't to copy. They're using this AI software to smartly, but it's not so something is beating their smartness. So when to go back to your question, that what are the things that I know that when I have a daughter that when she was writing her essay to go to university, she makes sure that she does original work because they will always check it. I don't know how to do it. And most of the schools she does, the reason is that her work was original, that they never saw it anyway. So but that's one thing. So the policy over there is different. And I also know somebody that went to US to study, a student, someone from Nigeria, the mother is one of my friends. She went to study. Every time she does her work from the US, they will come and say, we copied. She doesn't know how, I don't know how to check that. So the book is there, the standard, and then that's standard tools that they use. But yeah, anything goes wrong. Others are trying to beat them to their standards. So that's how that AI content usually helps us to get how people copy. If there's this one, Grammarly, so when you use it, also try to pick what you have used from them, the percentage you have copied from them. So one thing is that we don't have serious standard that can check everywhere. I know that in computer science university because we are trying to students, we can't beat all of them because there are so many. Imagine we have about 733 students undergrad, and we have even about 300 or something postgrad just in computer science. So it's quite a lot, and the lectures are 23 or 22, because one is even an emeritus, which doesn't teach anymore. So, the work is enormous, and we can't catch them all. So standard, the policy, and what they're going to penalty when you're caught. What will be nothing is going on. So I believe we get there, when we set these things, and there will be penalty for everything. If we know some schools have had, we have to copy it. The Jaris Monday, they cut it, they start the lecture and we discontinue the students. So if we can have things that we can put in place and set some rules, a lot of things will go well, especially with AI era. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So from what I see, because I will have asked you a follow-up question, but it seems you already answered that, because I wanted to ask if you see any need for AI regulatory or AI regulation in the country, in Nigeria, if there is any need for it, like the AI regulatory needs and goals for our, especially in our university system? Do you see any need for it? And I think you already answered that, because you apparently said, oh, technically there is little or no policy. And we see that I think it also is still a global issue, because especially with the advent of LLM, there's a kind of surge interest and the way people now use it. So it has really there's a lot of conversations happening, even in developed world, right? In my campus and in many other campuses around, we are trying to look at what can we do, what policies can we make, how can we do things. Even it's not about university system alone. We're looking at in the process of hiring, when you want to hire people, to what extent can you use AI? When you want to, how do we trust that the AI is making a good decision in the favor of your university or your institution and so on? How do you use AI to grade students? Like essay type of questions and everything. Is it right to use it? To what extent do you trust what AI is telling you? When AI is even telling you that a student is cheating, what if the student is not cheating, right? And all this, so this is still going, an ongoing conversation.
Problem with building on software like doing it as well.
Yes.
You know, because when you're developing the AI that is doing the work. Yeah. So that would be part of where we test our correctness.
Yes. So we know there is still a lot to do, even globally. So this is not just a Nigerian problem alone. It is a global issue that is evolving, new technology, new problem. So that is the problem we currently have. And we are hoping this will be part of that conversation as we are starting to continue. So thank you for your contribution. And lastly, the next question we go to, well, the man that has been fueling this to happen, the Director General of National Center for Technology Management in Nigeria, Dr. Olushola Odusanya. The next question goes to you. So as the DG of Nigeria's National Center for Technology Management, what are your efforts in AI awareness and capacity building in the country?
Yes. The National Center for Technology Management, by mandate, is supposed to collect SCI data, science, technology, information data, to assist government to make decisions. As a result of that, over the years, in the last budget year, we gathered people together to ask any question. This disruptive technology, this artificial intelligence, is now being used widely. And you have heard the experience of university people, where students are using the things profusely, but the lecturer needs to now become creative in how to solve the problems. We did a national policy dialogue on artificial intelligence, and we wanted to find out if there was a need for regulation and what kind of level of regulation would exist. Prior to that, there was an attempt to create a national artificial intelligence policy by the National Information Technology Development Agency, and this was developed in 2023. At the simultaneous time, maybe that in August, I think by November, ChatGPT 5.0 came, and it was clear that the technology was far ahead of the regulation they were trying to bring about. And then they did not stop. They progressed, and this year they came up with another consultative group of people trying to regulate a technology that we do not have any input in. As a result, that new suggestion, because I'll call it a suggestion, not a regulation anymore, because you cannot regulate something that is moving faster than yourself. It has now become a suggestion. That regulation itself is almost dead on arrival. And therefore, we started thinking, and that's why this is important to us. We decided to come together with private sector institution that already has access to infrastructure that is required to build AI competence, that has data, that have people that have come into the ecosystem. So what we are looking at is a possibility that we can get all Nigerians, all people who have interest in development of artificial intelligence in the developing world to come into an ecosystem So we have access to quality professors like Professor Folajimi and Adil in different countries of the world. Infrastructure that comes together with those people. The data. Now the data will now be our own. Similar to what is happening in the university, we have a global or national system of a learning management system that now becomes encompassing. All lecturers will put their lectures on that LMS. They will have programs that will check for the use of different kinds of technology. They will check for plagiarism and all of that, similar to what happens in many countries of the world. This would ensure that the lecturer himself comes and gives quality lectures, can be checked, and be verified, and we can collaborate with everybody around the world. So one step that will solve all these problems is for Nigeria to embrace learning management systems and embed it in the educational system. And therefore, now bringing auditing and all these technologies that are used to check AI use or not use. But beyond that, the time has come, and the time is now for us to have a national dialogue on the use of these disruptive technologies in all spheres of our lives, in such a way that we stop this bifurcation of saying somebody is arts, somebody is science, because we're not talking language.
Yeah.
And machine language is a language that goes deep and penetrates into every spectrum of our life, in such a way that it now gives us a brilliant opportunity to rethink, just like it happened with any disruptive technology when calculators came. This similar debate happened. And those old professors said they will not allow calculators in the classrooms for exams. But that has changed. You can bring the best calculators, but the questions will still elicit, competencies that are innate to human beings. In the same way that we will have when we allow artificial intelligence to be part of our learning system. We use it to teach, we use it to proctor exams and all of that. And it will now be your native intelligence, so to speak, that if there is anything like that, that will now be interrogated. But by and large, the place we are now in Nigeria is that there is currently no regulation for choice. Even though there is no regulation, that regulation is not capable of capturing the new developments in artificial intelligence. And that is why I, as well as my team in NACETEM, believe that we need to have a different approach. And that approach should be one of promotion of artificial intelligence rather than trying to regulate it. First, you need to learn how to run sufficient to catch this animal that is running faster than you. And then you now need to, learn how to manage which direction it goes. But rather than that, let's look at the opportunities we are losing in terms of us even developing our own data and then putting that data in line with what the rest of the world is doing in such a way that we equate ourselves. We also have learning management systems as a way to go in university. We have this also called RIMAS that says universities should specialize. Why is it important for universities to specialize? The universities that were first set up, including this university, was not set up to tackle a need. They were set up as geographical entities. Now, because we now have RIMAS, we now have an opportunity for universities to specialize. Can we therefore choose certain universities to say specialize in these aspects of artificial intelligence and break it down into probably some level of perception where, for example, you can apply to agriculture and say we want to apply something to remote sensing or passive sensing, or physical sensing in such a way that you can test your soils, identify what materials are available, and collect our own data. Because data is what is missing. We have people. Now, with the ecosystem we are trying to create, we have infrastructure, but the data that is original to us. We just saw how to design fabrics in a very significant way. But the clothes we are looking at are Western clothes. The shoes we are seeing are Western shoes. It gives us brilliant opportunities to add our own systems this and create our own data and generate our own information. So I would rather fall to the side of promotion of AI rather than attempt to regulate, because our attempts to regulate are failing because the technology is moving at a faster rate than we are able to evolve regulations. But at the same time, it doesn't remove the need to regulate. It doesn't remove the need for us to learn these technologies. The main problem is what we started long ago, dividing ourselves into science and non-science. That division is now causing problems because those who formulate the regulations are those people who call non-science. And then we are now talking of a science that is moving faster than the scientists themselves can think about. So we should first of all start thinking of removing those bifurcations that make some children at 13 choose if they are going to be science or non-science, and ensure that our high school degrees or certificates is uniform. Everybody that goes to school has learned everything that somebody of a particular age will learn. Then you can now diversify into different things. I think that regulation is more important than trying to regulate artificial intelligence, because the person who is going to eventually become a lawyer will have studied enough mathematics, understood differential equations, will have understood systems dynamics and how everything relates to each other. And then when he becomes a lawyer, it becomes useful, more useful to society than the kinds of lawyers we are producing today. We are seeing disruption happen in our own very lives at this moment. And we also have to think disruptively in order to deal with the issues. Nobody can tell you he has the answers, and the answers are not just there. We have to create them.
Thank you very much.
I want to ask something.
Okay, yes.
You know, you said something about choosing courses that lawyers are not, they don't know you. That bring them to come and set this policy. How would they know them? So, but there's something called responsible AI now. Responsible anything. If you're doing software, they call it responsible software. What is it? Making everything accountable and transparent and bringing all the stakeholders on the table, even though you did not study that. So let's say you studied that math, you didn't study the software, but you're a lawyer. Lawyers will be there, those that have the developers will be there, the users also will be there, the youth will be represented, the villagers, those in the rural area will be represented. That's what we don't call bringing all the stakeholders on the table. We call it responsible software, responsible AI, everything is going responsible way. Because you bring everybody, even if it's a linguistics that's going to use that, let the person be there and be able to put their own and say this is how it is. Because nobody can study all of these at the same time. So when that regulation for everybody to do everything, it will be too many courses for people at that secondary level. Don't you think so?
In some countries,
Huh?
in some countries,
Yeah.
what exists that high school diploma is high school diploma. And all of them learn mathematics, they learn chemistry, they learn everything.
Even maths is compulsory.
Now, maths is compulsory, but we now divide our children. We say some of them are going to learn literature, history.
But it's their passion.
Yes, their passion. But at the same time, basic mathematics, basic chemistry, basic science is sufficient for them to survive in the new artificial intelligence world. Because artificial intelligence is marrying linguistics with computer knowledge and mathematics, algebra, and all of that. And we've really made a mess. Many years ago, in this university, I'm sorry to say, history was made when we diverged from algebra to modern mathematics. If we go back to our history and start algebra again, I think Nigeria will get the missing part and build upon that algebra, because the algebra is the fundamental of many countries that are developed. I think we made that error, and that error is reverberating in everything that we are doing. And I think when we get it right in that realm, a lot of developments will now discover, oh, how come we missed all of this? And that is the point I was trying to make, that strengthen the wire, strengthen what we are teaching them, so that we reduce the bifurcations of art and science, because artificial intelligence has now brought all of us together. The linguists, the psychologists, the computer scientists, the engineer, and everybody in such a way that you need to understand this fundamental new language we are learning, this machine language. And that language is a new language of the world, and it's a language of the future. And I think it's a food for thought, because what I'm proposing, I don't even have answers for it, but I just want you to ruminate over it and then come to your own conclusions. And probably will now agree that this conclusion is a conclusion for everybody. But let's start thinking. How can we evolve our own creation of knowledge? Can we create new knowledge around these new technologies? And if we create this new knowledge, will it actually lead us to a better place? I think those are the questions that are bogging the minds of policy makers like ours, that we are still in the dialogue ideation phase. How do we regulate what is moving faster than the meetings we are having? Before our meeting ends, something new has come out. So how do you create regulations for something that is so enormous in terms of its power?
Thank you. So thank you very much, sir. If I will understand that, I believe what you're advocating for is for us to address the foundation, the roots. If you address any problem from the foundation, you are rest assured that it can't give you a problem in the future. Otherwise, if you just prune the leaves and everything, new leaves will spring, and then by the time new one is springing, even the foundation is already even getting more solid. So hopefully, like my dean here can even confirm that in our campus, for instance, some of our students don't even know what course they will do until when they get to junior year. They keep changing from one course to the other until when they find their strengths, right? So, which means, I think rigidity is something that may not be working. Sometimes we need to learn from the advanced country what is working for them, and we bring them. And I think also, as someone that was born and bred here and that is still part of this community, I want to say that one of the major problems that we have is we are too rigid with what we know. We are always afraid of change. We want to stick with what we know, and that cannot help us in this era. So let's not be afraid of diving head first into that ocean and explore what is there. Let's maybe, if we try something for you went to Unilag maybe when I was just trying to find my feet and learn how to walk. Yes, so and since that time, if you have been using an approach that is not working, maybe it's time to use a different approach. Maybe what you are saying is true. Maybe we should try and visit the foundation again and look at algebra, maybe it's compulsory, look at those, let students explore, you don't have to stop doing biology or social studies, and you start dividing it when a child is just at the age of 13. What do they know about? They need to explore all of these subjects and have the foundation. And because, my colleague, the HOD here said, everything is already, they have entered into each other, all the profession, all the career. And then when we work together, we're able to, when we bring it together, we're able to leverage on the strength of each discipline and then produce something better. So I will jump to maybe one more question, which maybe any of the panelists, both remote or in person, can answer. Anyone can just answer one or two more questions. What do you see as the most urgent regulatory or ethical challenge in AI today? If any one of the panelists want to answer that, what is the most urgent regulatory or ethical challenge in AI today? Or maybe you want to narrow it down to your institution. And then how do you think, or maybe how have you seen, how can they be addressed, the most urgent one? Thank you, sir.
In my own opinion, I think still boils down to the same. We need to have a basic standard, basic minimum. And that's why we have these institutions like, for universities, for example, we have the NC, and most of the associations, the MBA for lawyers and all of that, they are the standard bearers for practice of these professions and practice for these things that is happening. Unfortunately, Road Transport Employers Association and the Road Transport Workers are the largest community of associations in Nigeria. And right now, they are not where they are supposed to be in terms of regulating their. In every commune, when you train someone, the association now takes over from the training. So we have these regulatory bodies. I think they should have standards, minimum. And for universities, polytechnics, and high schools, they should have a learning management system so that it's a platform through which training and learning will happen. And then therefore, we can now regulate and manage that system. In the situation where we have some hospitals, for example, they don't have electronic data management system, whereas some hospitals have. Those hospitals who don't have, you will find that the patients stay there forever. Even payments doesn't come into a system. So when we have such platforms, systems operate better, and when systems operate better, we can improve upon the existing system. But in a situation where everybody is doing its own thing, it's going to be very difficult. The most important ethical situation there is one of self-selection. I think people have to make up their mind that they have to follow societal ethics, which again takes you to psychology, and it's a form that it's not even himself well organized. But in essence, I think it's by self-selection, the ethical considerations that come. Everybody knows what it's like, and when you start crossing that boundary, you yourself know. At the stage where we are in now, self-selection is the most important ethical consideration I want to advocate. Because right now, regulations can't hold what is going on now. It's a free world, and we are building it even for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Does anyone else want to answer that?
It's an open question for everyone.
Okay. So that takes us now to the audience. It's time for the audience questions, like contribution and questions from the audience. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I have one question for Interim America and one question for Dr. Olushola, right? Okay, but let's start with Dr. Now, I noticed something about, the way, because I believe you are a government official also. I noticed that when you want to, solve problems relating to, the country, you don't look into you don't look to the academics. In most, for example, when you were talking about the regulation of data, there are some committees that are still only and the minister, will always bring up so many different times. I see that on politics, that people leadership, don't really have the expertise to solve them. Investment and so on. And they go out to canvas, they have the money to each of anything, what makes sense, they will run to the university to look for people to solve. So I believe that we should start thinking of coming to look at it. Actually working and contributing to the field of it. These are people that have experience, they know what to contribute to the framework, they can write reports, tell you right. I call them journalists. The journalists, they just talk about, and they talk about, they are talking 20 words, and we kind of now they are using AI, so people that actually do this work, and people that have worked, that have recently and solved problems with it, actually in departments in the world. And people are not to encourage you to help us stay things, what the constituting solve problems, come to the university, and this people with guide. Usually, you want to, because Nigeria, we all know, sometimes what of these committees are set minutes. But for these things to work, come to the universities and look for people and actually make things work. Because students are used to say, and of them in the investments. So when you get people outside to have people to regulate it, they can understand what's going to be happening inside. You understand that? That's for me. Now, for people in America, to have sincere, before ChatGPT became available, in different, just like, before internet became very popular, everybody had access to the internet. There were some schools that had some kind of reposition that can access to it. So, before it became available, I guess some universities actually had some framework of language models of ChatGPT that will help with lecturers with some kind of job. This are especially because I have a friend in 2022 was working with a friend in the US. He's from Vietnam. In terms of when we are working in the pulse of the mathematics source of it, I see us at par, because when I talk to you, but sometimes you want to write and write. I know I speak better than you, but when I'm together and I'm talking, I want to write. You tell me, you will complain sometimes, I don't want to, you understand? He never wants to write my presence. He will go and come back. I'm sorry, that is perfect. I don't know. So I want to things like that. So it became very open. Yeah, thank you very much.
So, okay, is that, let's ask, okay, maybe we should ask,
okay, I just want to contribute one thing that we fail to understand, that AI, academic vetted AI, they are the one that contributes to AI to work. But we forget that the roots of AI is academics. We bring someone that just uses app and think that it's AI. AI is what is applicable. It's just a smart database. Now, you say in the university that's supposed to be added to the body of knowledge, want to rely on ChatGPT. No. The industry can use it. But when it comes to research, it's we, the academic, that will be adding to the knowledge, not taken from ChatGPT. That is my own observation.
Thank you very much.
I think let me quickly address some issues. ChatGPT itself is a company. They came up and kind of unified information and came to say, look, in the next few months, we are going to have a system in the large language model that is going to deal with, like you can take the, is it GMAT, the exam they take in the US to get to university? Yeah. That the machine will take the exam and do better than human beings after we beat Kasparov with the computer. So artificial intelligence has been going on for a long time. So essentially, what we are having now is a situation where everything works efficiently and we have a company providing us with a service that we are all taking advantage of. And that is what we thought of this problem that we identified, that everybody has become an expert in AI. So when I heard that there's a Nigerian professor in the US who wants to come and teach us online, I said, no, let her come. So that we have a physical interaction and then you meet an AI expert, not a AI journalist, like we call them. The whole idea is for us to now bring these experts together in an ecosystem where she will help us recruit more people who are the true experts and guide evolution of regulation, evolution of popularization, evolution of applications, evolution of responsible use of AI. Every time people gather and say they want to do regulation, the thing has moved further than their regulation wants to control. So we have seen that. We saw it in the first iteration where NITS came up with regulation in 2023. They came together and formed another one. Not only academia was left out, the entire Ministry of Information Science and Technology was left out of new regulation. And the result is what we can that it is not even catching anything within the gist of. So we need to now reboot. And that is why I said, no, we are not going to have this professor be talking to us. We have to have a physical interaction with her, and then let her meet with our own people. This lady here is the Professor Charles Wadia of University of Lagos. But she taught us when we were here. And computer at that time, let me tell you, there was a parent, a very prominent family in Lagos, whose son was moved from, I think, one of the engineering, and he was moved to computer science. The father said, no, how can my son learn computer science? He refused, and an educated person, highly educated for that matter. In this university, he removed that child from computer science. He said his son is not going to read computer science. In his mind, how can his son go to university to learn how to play game?
Or how to type.
Or how to type. Story. How is this university? But you see, it has evolved that everybody is struggling to learn computer science. In the same way, you will find that this issue of regulation that we are talking about will come to pass when we are able to form this ecosystem, where everybody who is anybody is already there. What will be turning out, the government itself will notice that these people, I think they are making sense. All those journalists will now use them because they are also necessary to broadcast. You know, that's what journalists do, to broadcast the outcomes of what we are doing. So we need to get ourselves together. We are the ones who are supposed to be smarter. And we are supposed to get ourselves together and do the right things. They will now get journalists to publicize what we are doing. So don't consider them unnecessary. Recently, Nigerian government sent some people to go and look at how CNG vehicles were being and then they sent comedians and all of those people. Now, you may consider it laughable, but the fact is that universities are not well funded. By the time you send professors there, they'll be interrogating the reason why CNG is working the way it's working. But the truth of the matter is that the issue with CNG is that the tanks where you keep the fuel is not welded here in Nigeria. So NACETEM has taken it upon itself to start teaching people welding certification credits so that you get international certification that helps you get certification to weld those tanks. So the technology itself is what we are focusing on. We need those publicity people to help publicize the gas. You know, we've been flaring it anyway. So we did not connect that energy to our needs. Now the government has come to connect the energy to our needs. Anything they do is right. Let us focus on the technology, and that's why universities are supposed to bring knowledge into the system. So that knowledge will continue to contribute to the system is what will drive the system to a better place. I stopped complaining about Nigeria. I started looking if in this same country there is a Dangote, there is a Boa, there is flour mills, there are all those people who are making billions within this economy. There is something that I am not doing that those people are doing. But that's my approach to it. And that's the way that we have to approach this new world. You have to do something that those people are doing so that you also become like them. Academia, we have allowed ourselves to be abused. We have to now get back the system in very clear to contribute to national development. So don't worry when those things are happening. Re-engineer yourself to be part of that progress. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. Let me quickly say something. Your question was that I have a friend that was existing. ChatGPT time existing. Yes. ChatGPT blew out because they brought something different. And in that way, we have payment. There are lots of process of different versions, different companies have their own the same way. So what ChatGPT made a name that it did something. I don't know what they do there. There's a lot of competition there too. When they were trying to come out, they were hiding it. Immediately they launched the whole world was trying what has not been done before. But a lot has been ChatGPT of now I'm talking to you. There is double Gemini, there is different ones that I can't bring out the name. I can bring the exactly. So it can exist. So what is this chat? It's just a generative AI. And generative AI, if you look at that AI universe there, see generative AI. see deep learning, neural net, machine learning, then AI. So yes. So what happened that during neural network, when we are doing, we are trying to use data, when you have data, that's the part where the machine learning, the type of machine learning that uses data to do a lot of things, prediction. It is after that we move to deep learning, which does more complex computation. Then after that, we move to transformers. All that transformers, we now started using generative AI that just translates things like words. And that's why a lot of people is that we don't know why it was so obvious, because people can relate. You try to say transform it, you try it in your language, you see, you scream. We really see that because we are doing a lot of data in terms of values, figures, but this one became very close to what we know. So you can speak your language there. You can say, ChatGPT tell me this, it will give you, you start doing. We very see like that, but now I know that busy. But people still stop that ChatGPT because that's what they mean. So that can exist. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ma and Sir. And I don't know if our colleagues on Zoom have something to contribute. And then we can go. So, okay. So it's been a really long day, and I must say it has also been very fulfilling. Thank you very much for being here. We can go on and on and on. And so what I'm just going to do is to share again one more time a Mentimeter. So that we can round up on that note. If you have any other thoughts, anything else that will help, you can put it in there. So the question is, kindly share 1 to 2 takeaway or recommendation for anyone involved or interested in AI policy and regulation. The results will be published publicly for all of us and anyone interested in this to see. And hopefully, the policymakers themselves will also see your thoughts. At least, even if they don't invite you to be part of it, this is your voice. This is your voice. One way or the other, your voice is going to make an impact. It's going to make a change in policy, a change in thought, a change in action when this kind of thing is shared. So please go to menti.com, use code 76274202. Menti.com 762. Can someone please share it in the chat as well? In the morning, we had like both in the room and outside of the room. I know we had about 150 to 200 people, but right now we're not so many, but we can still share it also at the WhatsApp group for anyone interested in to put in their voice in this. So while we are doing that, when we are writing up that, I want to, on that note, say thank you very much for this amazing moment. I mean, for this wonderful and unique time in our nation, for being part of this, and also to the Director General and all the committee members, and to the head of department that has provided their lab and their resources to make this happen, and to my colleagues that have dedicated their Thanksgiving to AI. I want to say this is the memorable day in history. And I believe that history will remember you for this day, Thanksgiving 2024. So I want to say happy Thanksgiving. This is the best Thanksgiving gift ever for Nigerian audience. So on that note, I want to say tomorrow we are starting 9 a.m. on the dot. 9 a.m. on the dot with breakfast and everything that the committee has in plan. Let me give them the microphone. And if you have not joined the WhatsApp group, please join it. It's a rich community of people of like-minded, and the conversation can continue.
Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause to everyone. And finally, we say thank you to the DGCEO, Professor, my own Professor Olushola Odusanya. Let's give him a round of applause. To the Dean, School of Computing, Wentworth, we say thank you. Professor Shawren, we say thank you. Professor Folajimi, we say thank you. Dr. Chika, we say thank you. And to every one of us, we say thank you to ourselves.
And this wonderful young man I describe them like ants. Have you seen the ants here? You know, where the water and they are work in different ways. I don't, I think she did that.
So I also want to say that there are honorary leopards. You can see them wearing the leopard t-shirts. So leopard is our mascot at Wentworth Institute of Technology. So when you see a leopard, you know one. They are always very smart, very energetic, very strong. So future students of Wentworth, you are anointed students, right? So our t-shirt is so very nice on there. So leopard is our logo, and they have been working very hard, and I hope to also see them tomorrow.
On that note, comes to the end of today's program. So we'll see you again.